This is KGW News at 11.
We begin the news at 11 with a stabbing in Gresham. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Evan Watson. There are still very few details, but here's what we know so far. About an hour ago, police got a report of a stabbing on Northeast 162nd and Gleason. That's about a half mile from the Glenfair Elementary School. We have a crew there now gathering any details. Police are positioned outside of a CVS and a plasma donation center. We'll be sure to keep you updated as we learn more. A felon is behind bars in Lynn County after attempting to rob two businesses back-to-back in Albany last night. The Lynn County deputies responded to a robbery at 11:20 at the Love's truck stop on Old Salem Road Northeast. Witnesses say a man entered the store with a hammer, demanding money from the clerks. Customers and employees tried to stop the robbery and the suspect took off. While deputies searched for the man, the Albany police got a report of a robbery at the Motel 6 on Pacific Boulevard. The suspect's description matched the man from the attempted truck stop robbery. Police spotted 30-year-old Michael Partlow driving on Santiam Highway, pulled him over and arrested him. He's now in the Lynn County Jail facing robbery charges. He also had a felony parole violation warrant for burglary. We have an update in Clackamas County. A nonverbal 2-year-old girl who went missing last night was thankfully found safe this afternoon. The child spent over 18 hours in the woods near her home off Yoder Road and Highway 211. Daisy Caballero has more details on the search.
I'd like to point out that the Clackamas Sheriff's Office is not citing foul play here. They tell me 2-year-old Raylan Mishler's teen brother was watching her when she disappeared and left the community wondering what happened to her.
We're all just very relieved when we found her.
After a nearly 18-hour search in a rural part of Hubbard, 2-year-old Raylan Mishler was found safe on Sunday morning after wandering away from her home on Yoder Road and Highway 211. A neighbors say the young girl's mother ran up to their house looking for the 2-year-old.
She just said that she came home, that she got a call from work, and that her baby was missing. And she said that the little girl had taken off her clothes and was looking, and so they didn't think that she had anything on.
According to the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office, around 7:30 Saturday night, Raylan's older teen brother was watching her. That's until the teen took his eyes off her and she disappeared, leaving her pink pajamas out front, according to neighbors.
I just can't imagine. And the mom was so distraught, and I felt so bad for her, and I told her, just take a breath, let's get you some support, let's call the police, that will help. And so she finally did. So
Lieutenant Marcus Mendoza with the Clackamas Sheriff's Office says multiple agencies and search crews helped locate Raylan nearly a quarter of a mile away from her home.
She was out in maybe a hay field would be the best way to describe it, big grassy field, about one quarter mile from her home.
Lieutenant Mendoza says 2 crews were searching the area and located the 2-year-old around 11 Sunday morning, saying she was alert and responsive, but was dehydrated.
One of the searchers told me that she was laying on her stomach and just kind of lifted her head up and looked right at them when they were walking by.
Raylan was reunited with her family and was transported to the hospital to be checked out.
At this point, there's no foul play that we're aware of, but we are making sure that we're doing a thorough investigation.
Now, I did ask Lieutenant Mendoza why an Amber Alert wasn't sent out. He explained it's a tool that is used under certain circumstances, but with this specific case, there was no information about an abduction connected to Raylan. We'll have more on this on KGW.com. Daisy Caballero, KGW News.
We would like to provide sort of useful information to them to serve the population to make their workplace safer.
Researchers at Oregon State University are working to reduce the risk of injuries for commercial fishers while on the job. Commercial fishing is a labor-intensive business, and crabbing may be one of the hardest on the body. That's because deckhands use a lot of muscle to move all those crab pots around in the boat. Research shows 80 to 85% of commercial fishermen have experienced muscle or skeletal disorders or injuries, most to the lower back or shoulders. OSU is working to fine-tune a piece of equipment that commercial fishers developed called a banger bar, used on some boats to make the emptying of crab pots less taxing. Researchers are in the lab studying how the banger bar works and how it affects the body.
height matters. So, what would be the good level of this bar height so that those fishermen can bang their crab pot against to the bar to release those crabs without bending their back and shoulder too much.
Kim says he's met a lot of people in the fishing industry using his work, and he hopes it's making the job of commercial fishing a little less stressful. Well, the rain is sticking around for another day. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri joins us from the Weather Center. And Joe, things are about to get a whole lot warmer, aren't they?
Yeah, things are going to be shaping up to be pretty nice later on this week. Once we get past tomorrow afternoon, we are going to be looking at really some pleasant conditions out there. We're looking at temperatures right now right around the low to mid 50s, so very kind of comfortable out there this evening. 52 over in Scappoose and Portland. You're seeing a temperature of 55 degrees at this hour. East side of the state, a little bit cooler. Temperatures in the upper 30s to the low 40s. And on the radar, all is relatively quiet. We've been seeing some light sprinkles here and there throughout parts of the state, throughout parts of the central and southern part of the Willamette Valley. The heavier showers, though, still continue to move on along the east side of the state, and that's going to continue heading into tomorrow as well. As we bring in Futurecast, I want to point this out. You'll notice a good part of the morning commute, this model has kind of changed a little bit. It's going to be dry, so I've changed the forecast from when we chatted at 5 o'clock, but still, showers will be rolling into the forecast right around the potentially late morning, early part of the afternoon. And some of these yellows and oranges, those are the heavier cells that could be producing a little bit of some thunderstorm activity. So there's a slight chance to see some thunderstorms through parts of the metro area. But I think a better shot of seeing it will be hitting the central and eastern side of the state. And the other thing I'm tracking is a big warm up arriving heading into next weekend with temperatures approaching 90. I'll talk more about that in a few minutes.
Thank you, Joe. The community of Allen, Texas is grieving in the wake of a mass shooting at an outlet mall, which killed 8 people. Tonight, communities are holding prayer services to remember the victims and support their families. We're learning new details on the suspect who allegedly interacted with neo-Nazi and white supremacist content online and wore a white supremacy-related patch during the shooting. NBC's Priscilla Thompson is in Allen, Texas with the details.
Gunshots shattering the peace of a Saturday afternoon shopping trip.
We need an ambulance. Yeah, we can't get these people to the ambulance.
8 people were killed and 7 more injured, including children, police say, after a gunman opened fire at this sprawling outlet mall in Allen, Texas, just north of Dallas. The victims' identities not yet revealed.
Got one more white or Hispanic male subject wearing black tactical garb, armed with an AR. He's got some white lettering on the vest that says police or security.
Dashcam video shows the moment the alleged shooter got out of his car and began firing. The suspect was killed by an officer who police say was already on scene for an unrelated call.
He heard gunshots, went to the gunshots, engaged the suspect and neutralized the suspect.
Law enforcement officials say the shooter was 33-year-old Mauricio Garcia, who had interacted with neo-Nazi and white supremacist content online. Overnight, officials searching the home of the alleged shooter as neighbors watched in disbelief.
It's kind of quiet, kind of, wore a little hoodie, just walk up and down the block, didn't say to himself, just always alone.
He went to high school with some of the neighbors, and they just said he was just always very quiet.
This scene, one that is all too familiar. Americans in fear, forced to run, hide, and pray.
We ran to the back, barricaded it with some concrete bricks, and then right then on the security camera, thank God we went in the back at that time. We saw him walk right by, masked up, fake police outfit on.
Survivors returned to the scene today to collect their vehicles, many still in shock.
We heard all these shots started, and she had just been out there, and if she hadn't come in the store, she'd have probably
the edge of the...
As another grief-stricken community gathers to mourn and to heal.
Let's get to more national headlines tonight. Border agents are preparing for a massive surge of migrants when a COVID-era restriction, known as Title 42, expires on Thursday. It allowed the U.S. to block migrants crossing the border. Mayors of towns along the southern border are calling on the Biden administration to provide more federal resources. Several cities in Texas have declared a state of emergency. Former President Donald Trump will not testify in the rape and defamation trial against him. A woman named E. Jean Carroll claims the former president raped her in the 90s and later defamed her. No filings were made by Trump's attorneys to notify the court if he wanted to testify. Last week, Trump's attorney told the judge that he had waived his right to testify at the trial. Closing arguments will begin tomorrow morning. Florida Democrats and community activists gathered for a Stand United rally in Tampa today. Speakers at the rally spoke on topics ranging from guns to bans on reproductive rights to attacks on public education and diversity initiatives. Democratic leaders including Chairwoman Nikki Fried, Senator Chevron Jones, former Congresswoman Debbie McCarcel-Powell were there. Those are your national headlines. Members from more than 100 local AAPI organizations gathered in Old Town for the annual Oregon Rises Above Hate event. The event was created 3 years ago with a focus to stop anti-Asian hate, to fight prejudice and racism. It's also scheduled during Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Elected officials who spoke at the event say it's important now more than ever to amplify the voices of community members.
And what this event does is allow us to reclaim our visibility. That's what it allows us to do, right? It allows us to say we are here. Here's who we are in all of our diversity. We are beautiful, we are Oregonian, we are American, and we are here to stay.
Oregon Rises Above Hate is hosting several other events throughout the month, including a series of performances by Asian American members of the Oregon Symphony on May 17th.